Got the yard weed whacked down. Got some bamboo that came down off the fence. Sort of hit my metal roof on the timber thing and just broke in the wind. So I've got to do something with that. Also got this screen replaced again for a bit of privacy from the neighbours down near the laundry door. There's the workshop over there. 6-foot screen back up on the landing. Privacy from the kitchen door when you come out. It's kind of nice doing this walk. There's a change that one that I would drive them out to. They've been a lot better with other dogs and that sort of stuff. Haven't been barking and stuff like that. And it's a decent enough walk. Still nice enough surroundings. Where's your ball? There it is. Good boy. Lazy bugger. Monday morning. Happy birthday, Elizabeth. Thanks for the day off. As you can see, the weather's beautiful. I've done that yard work. I really wanted to try and get those awnings back up, but it's been windy during the day, and there's no way I'm climbing up on the top of a ladder trying to hang on to an awning to attach it to the side of the house. Plus, I've still got to try and find better anchors, because when I went down to the local Bunnings, they did not have a suitable anchor in their stock. So I've seen the sort I need, but they didn't have them there. So maybe the bigger stores I'll try during the week. Wife doesn't like the big hole that I dug in the front yard. It does go a little bit far over towards where the stairs are, but also she didn't think it was going to be as deep, doesn't think it's going to get done in time, just wanted it filled in, can start thinking again. So I'm going to get the excavator to fill in the hole, take all the dirt away from the front of the house, put it back in that hole, and that shouldn't take me too long, so I can then continue working maybe on the side of the driveway while I've got the machine, get that all neatened up and leveled out and whatnot. That's the plan. I won't get the machine back to them today because they're only open for a short time. They opened at 8:30. It's 8:45 now. I rang them to make sure that the excavator was available. Going down, I'll drop it back off on the way to work tomorrow. I'm hoping I don't sink in the yard because it's still fairly wet, especially in front of the pond. So I'm going to have to put that big plywood down there again. All the other wood I had all over the yard to try and protect the yard was a massive failure. The excavator just chewed all that stuff up and ground it into the ground, so I had to pull it all back up out of the mud when I cleaned up last time. So I'm just going to have to live with the fact that I'll probably dig up the ground a bit and just have to try and clean it up at the end of the day, or at the end of the session with the excavator like I did last time. But the main thing will just be getting all that soil back into that big hole and try and pack it down as much as I can. If I do that, I can then focus on getting those stairs done, and we can get the stairs following the slope and work out what we want to do off the side of that rather than the other way around, because I was trying to work out the stairs based off where the hole was. Better to build the stairs based on the slope, which is what I started doing, and still have to modify that, because after we put the little platform at the top, that really lifts up that first set of stairs. So I've got to make a short set that goes down a little bit steeper as the first step, and then maybe a platform, and then those long ones can stretch out, or I'll use the long ones right down the bottom because that's the slope of the ground. I would really love to get one of these little excavators myself, but they're not cheap. Cheapest I've seen retail is about 15 grand. I've heard of some cheaper ones through Chinese companies, haven't actually seen their price. I saw one family of YouTubers buy one and unbox it, and I want to try and see more of their videos of how it's gone, because the one they got had a post hole auger and a couple of other attachments which would be awesome. So I'd love to find out exactly how much. They're in England, so it's going to be a hard comparison on price, but they said they bought it through Alibaba. I want to see if there's other reviews on it and what it would cost to get one of those here maybe, and sort of compare that up to other small excavators, either new or second hand. Concern with getting something second hand is that it's been thrashed to death. With all the stuff that we want to do around the back of the yard, I think it'd be handy. I think it'd be really handy to pull up all of the bamboo. We'd trash the yard, but you've got to start somewhere. Like the leveling out I want to do, obviously that's going to get rid of the grass that's there, but it will help level the ground so that it can be more of a usable yard rather than just that small section where I play with Batman. My wife had said before, why don't we get an excavator out there? And I never thought we could get one around there until this small one was shown to me down here. And I've seen how narrow it is and how narrow you can get the tracks to be able to get it through small pathways. So I'd actually be able to get that down the side of the house and past the sheds, now that other shed is gone, and be able to do all that work out the back, because there's a lot of heavy lifting still to do out there. My back is just not as good as it used to be. I definitely look the part of an old man. I definitely feel like it sometimes. Including today, I'll have spent over $1,000 already on excavators from here. So with all the other work you want to do, and you're just trying to time the weather and when you can use it, and then you've got to stop because you've got to clean the machine. Then you've got to clean the machine before you return it. Getting clay off that machine, especially out of the treads. Busy here this morning. It's only a small operation. They're always closed Sundays. And they obviously opened up today just to get all the returns from Saturday and hopefully have some more hires, and like I'll get this now and return it on the way to work tomorrow. Long weekend. It's the weekend to do jobs. All those honey-do list things. Pile of dirt is gone. Still bits of it. Hole pretty much filled in, scraped out the front yard to try and level it out. Leveled out all this stuff. I've realised I've got quite a bit of a slope there, but this whole area, hoping to concrete a lot of that for the footpath, or for the drive. Maybe not all the way to the fence, but at least it's sort of levelled out. But trying to work with wet clay is very difficult. A bit of a frost this morning. Ready to return. Okay, that's a pretty severe frost for us this morning. Still icy on the driver's side window on the side. There was a lot of ice. It will clear off as we drive. It's one of those weird things, like down in the yard where it's dipped and everything, no frost, nothing like that, because it's kind of protected. But up on the street, on the eastern side of the car, was iced up, including the driver's side had more ice than the passenger side of the windscreen. It's clearing up now. That side section of the yard, which I was levelling out because we want to extend the driveway, but we also want the yard just to be that sort of height, so it just sort of flows down towards the fence line. And I was in there scooping out the dirt and putting it further down and just sort of building up down next to the carport, driving on it with the excavator, and it's compacted down a bit. Pretty hard to work with, like I said, wet clay. It just seems to press down but then squish out of the way. It got so clogged up in the bottom of the excavator, cleaning took forever before I could put it away, and I was cleaning in the dark. The last bit of work that I was doing to just get that last bit leveled out, I had the light on the front of the excavator going to see what I was doing. Beautiful morning, apart from just being that icy. Car says it's 6 degrees outside, so it's not like it's super cold. It obviously was overnight to create that frost. The main reason that my wife said to do that stuff this weekend, it's meant to be nice, but the forecast is then meant to be rain starting on Friday, so that'd cancel out next week. For a short week of school. 4 days. 4 weeks should be 4 days. It's been another busy day. Year 12 construction in the morning. Weren't many kids there today, but there were a few there. Year 11 timber later on. One is doing this, come up with a turtle motif for the front of his drawer, and he's going to have this centre section as part of the handle that he's going to make. Oh, here's the little boxes that the other Year 11 was making with the little sound hole. Year 9 projects, there's a few of those around drying. They started the next project. Year 9 are working pretty well. Being the last period of the day, they were okay. It wasn't too bad. There was no issue in the class. They're working along well, working at their own pace, so different projects go on at the same time. And it's one of the ways I like having the class run. So it's Wednesday afternoon. I've just had Year 11 construction. 3 toolboxes completed. There's a few messy parts to them, but there was to mine as well, and I've just gone through the assessment task, marking criteria. It actually looks like this one is measurements and calculations and basic estimation and costing. The projects seem to be being put in now just to give the kids some experience, and so they're not just doing all theory. So I've got the assessment ways is there's a written task, there's direct observation of how they're working, which is one of the reasons why I use a camera, time-lapse camera, so I can see who's working within the workshop, because I'm always moving around. And then the third part of this task is that they can do an estimation and costing for that project based on cost of materials and cost of labour. I was looking through the assessment to see if there's anything about millimetres accuracy like there used to be in the start of the task, and there's not. The task is just there to give them some practical experience while they're doing the other activities, which I think is a clever way of doing it. It's just like the mallet from last time. It was just so that we could see that they were working safely and using the tool safely. This is so that they can physically see what they're building and see that if you're cutting sheet materials out of a sheet of plywood, you've got to go, well, how much does the plywood cost? How much do the pieces that I'm using cost?
how many can I get out of a sheet of plywood if I'm doing multiple or bulk orders. I think I've got one more sheet of the 9mm to cut up. I didn't cut it all up, and I probably should have, because some of them accidentally use the 9mm instead of the 15mm when they're cutting out ends, and so there's all these little short pieces and not enough for the long side. So I'll be cutting up that tomorrow after I have year 12, because I've got year 11 again tomorrow later in the day. Friday, and I've just had year 9. We've got a couple more little nail boxes made. There's some in the cupboard that still need to have their finish done. A few of the students have started on the next project, which is good. A little stool.